it's Michelle, and today we're going to be making hickory chickens. And I love these. They're known around here as hickory chickens or just hickory chicks, sometimes even dryland fish. But as they are more properly known, they are morel mushrooms. We forage for these around here. They grow naturally in the mountains and they are common around here, but there is a very small window of a week, maybe two, during early April that you're able to find these. And they are very expensive gourmet mushrooms if you find them in the stores away from here. But here in southeastern Kentucky, Mother Nature gives us a batch every year for free, and they are delicious. And I always say, what better way to live a healthy lifestyle than to grow or forage from nature your own food. I can be confident that Mother Nature does not use chemicals. Mother Nature is not GMO. And I know that my food is safe if I find it in nature. And like I said, we forage for these in the mountains. And they're a very unusual looking mushroom, but when you are hunting for morels, be sure that you know for certain what morels are. Most people around here have grown up here their entire lives and they know what they're looking for and they know when they've got a true morel, but there is a false morel that grows nearby as well, and they are poisonous. So you want to make sure that you're getting the right thing. I suggest that you look up maybe online and be certain what you're looking for if it's not something you've grown up around and known your whole life. But the stem of the morel mushroom will be attached at the base of the mushroom, and they have a hollow base. And that is a sign of a true morel. Some of the false morels have the stem that go all the way up inside, and this part will just be a dangling cap. That is a false morel, and I found one of those one year. So you need to be sure that you know what you're looking for. So when you hunt for these, you need to cut them off at the ground. Don't pull them up or tear them up. You need to cut them loose to allow for future growth of some of the mushrooms. And also, I went ahead and gave these a first rinse in plain clear water. We are going to rinse them here in a minute in some salt water. The salt will help clean any dirt off of it, as well as kill any little critters or microorganisms that may be hiding in all those little crevices. But for my first rinse, I make sure not to use the salt because that will also kill the spores. On my first rinse, we give it a little bit of a soak in plain cold water, and then after that's set for a little while, we pour that water back out into the mountains near the areas where we found it, so that if there are any viable spores still in there, that they can grow next year. So before we do our second soak, we want to cut that old end off a little bit, and we're going to split them right up the middle. And you always want to do this with hickory chickens because they are hollow all the way up, and you can see no little critters have made a home in there. But if they have, you want to split it open to make sure that there's nothing wrong in there. And then I'm just going to continue cutting them all up the middle. And then we can give those a soak in some salt water. And on one like this that has grown over sideways, it's completely collapsed, that stem, I'm going to go ahead and cut the entire stem away. And then cut the rest of that in half. And if you see any little bad areas, you can see a little bit of discoloration there. I'm going to cut that away and get rid of that. And the reason these are a foraged mushroom is that so far Mother Nature is the only one who has quite figured out how to properly cultivate these. And they are a foraged mushroom, and they are rare, and there is a short opportunity each year to find them. So I guess that's what makes them so expensive when you find them in the stores. However, around here I've never seen it in stores. We don't really have fancy gourmet things like that available in stores here. I guess because we have it in the woods and we forage for it and have it for free. A beautiful gift of Mother Nature. When you're good to her, she will be good back. Okay, so that is all of them split open. There's some discoloration. I'm going to cut that away. Make sure that you get rid of all of that. And now we're ready for our soak in salt water. I've got my batter bowl here full of cold water, and I'm going to add in some salt, and this is just iodized table salt. I'm going to put quite a bit. We're not going to be having all of this salt in our mushrooms when we eat them, but we want enough in there that it's going to kill any bacteria or anything that might be on our mushrooms. Oops. But now on this second soak, since you do have the salt in it this time, you don't want to soak them too very long because we don't want to start to kind of sog and wilt our mushrooms. They don't sog too easily. They are a very resilient mushroom. I hear that they're similar to truffles, but I've never had truffles. There's also a variety, I'm not sure exactly what variety, but there is a variety of truffle that is found around my local area as well, but we've never foraged for that. These grow here on my own property, and I'm very grateful to have them. These are absolutely delicious. And sometimes you'll find a very large batch of hickory chickens and sometimes just a small batch like we have here. Maybe one of these years when we have a very large batch, I'll show you guys how to dehydrate those to reconstitute to cook with later, and you can have these on hand all year long, which is wonderful. Okay, so these have been soaking for a few minutes, and I've been agitating them around to make sure that that salt water gets in all the little crevices so that we kill out any bacteria that might be on our mushrooms. And then I'm just going to scoop them out into a little colander here. And I'm just going to saute these up today. Actually, for that large one there, I'm going to cut it a little bit smaller. That's kind of big. We don't want them giant when we serve them on the plate. But most of the time, when you see someone prepare hickory chickens, they're going to bread them and fry them, usually deep fried. But here on the Healthie channel, we're not going to be doing that today. And really, not only is the deep frying unhealthy, but I think these mushrooms have such a wonderful taste that I don't want to hide that with a deep fried breading. in my mind, when you have something deep fried, that deep fried breading is the main flavor you get. And these are simply delicious, and that is the flavor that I want. And you can see most of that is just particles of the mushroom themselves, but any dirt or bacteria or bugs that were in there, which I didn't see any this time, not a single bug actually, but sometimes there are, so you want to make sure to get rid of that. And the salt water, like I said, ensures that that'll kill any of those. And to further promote the grow your own, forage your own healthy agenda, I'm going to be adding in a little bit of asparagus. This also happens to be the time to harvest asparagus, and we have grown this here on our own property as well. And this is our first little harvest, just enough to add in with my mushrooms. And I had my asparagus in a narrow glass of water, just with the bottoms that were cut down in there so they can take up water until you're ready. So I just gave them a wash, put them in a little bit of water, and stuck them in the fridge until I was ready to use them. And now I'm going to take this and I'm going to hold the very end and I'm going to snap it, and that's going to be the tough part, wherever that naturally snaps. We're going to get rid of that. And I like to do that with every one because they may all have, see that one snapped a little bit, it's tough. I'm going to cut a little bit up above it, and we'll get rid of that. And we lost very little on that one, that's good. And that one there. So I'm just going to cut these into about 1-inch pieces to saute in with our mushrooms, and this is going to be delicious, you guys. And so healthy and natural, no chemicals, straight from Mother Nature. And I think when we're considering how to live healthy and how to eat healthy, I think the most important thing is to grow and forage your own food. Like I said, that's the only way we can ensure that there are no chemicals, so we know exactly what we're getting, and that's the best way. So those have drained quite a bit more liquid out of them. So I'm going to let these drain a little bit more and make sure we get rid of as much liquid as we possibly can, and then I'll meet you over at the stove and we'll saute these up. I can't wait, they are so delicious. Okay, so I decided to go ahead and put them into my salad spinner, and I spun out the rest of that water, and we're ready to start sauteing. I've got my stove on about medium high, and I'm going to add in avocado oil. Just about a teaspoon or two will be plenty. And when our oil starts to ripple, we'll be ready. And we're not going to cook them too very long. I like to leave my vegetables a little bit al dente. And our oil is starting to ripple, so I think we're ready. And I'm just going to go ahead and add in all of my hickory chickens and my asparagus. And you can see now some of that liquid starting to cook out of them. I'm actually going to take this over to my sink and drain that water out of there so it doesn't sog our mushrooms. And I'm going to add back in a little bit of avocado oil. The very healthy fat, we want to make sure to get some of that in there. And you can hear how they sizzle up so much better with all of that moisture gone. If you're not doing a video like me, you'll have a little more time to let those drain, to spin them out a couple of times in your salad spinner if you want to do that. Like I said, they're a pretty resilient mushroom. You're not going to break them up too bad with your salad spinner. They can handle it. And now we're starting to see a little bit of browning. Like I said, I don't want a whole lot of browning, just a light saute, but a little bit is good. And now that they are almost ready, I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper, and I'm using pink Himalayan salt, just a couple of grinds, and a couple of grinds of black pepper. And that's all they need. Like I said, you guys, these have such a wonderful flavor on their own. And that's it. They are sauteed and just barely lightly brown a little bit. And we're ready to plate these up. And these are absolutely gorgeous. I just love them. I hope you guys can see how nice those came out. Lightly sauteed, little bit of browning, but still al dente. If you wanted to, you could throw in some onion to flavor it up a little more. Whatever you want. You can saute them up completely by themselves. They're just as delicious. So I just wanted to share with you guys a locally foraged food that is very common around here, very healthy and very delicious. If you have access to hickory chickens, I highly suggest that you have some, and try sauteing them up. Don't always bread them. It's not only less healthy, but less delicious. You don't want to miss out on that beautiful flavor that those hickory chickens have. So that's it, guys. I'm going to go eat supper. You guys be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Give me a like on my Facebook page, and be sure to join our Facebook group, Healthy Minds and Bodies, where we try to focus on natural solutions to health issues. Any problems that you may have, I believe that there's a natural approach that's going to be best, and it's at least the first option you should try. You can also find me on Pinterest and Instagram, as well as my blog, which is at www.selfhealthie.com. I'll have those links below, so be sure and check them out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.